As the sun sets, the coffin lids rise, and the creatures of the night awake. We greet you. This is the Morning Show, where we strive to bring you the latest news, music, product, and entertainment reviews, travel, cuisine, and interviews with the people you loathe the most. But first, to see what the night shall bring, we go to our local lunatic. So, what's the foreshadowing forecast?
The lunar phase for tonight, Saturday, the 23rd of August, is a waning crescent moon. The moon is in the zodiac sign of Leo.
Wow, you know I love Leos. I've talked about many, many times before. If not when you were here, then whenever the other girls were here. Leos are my everything. Most of my love interests in my life have been Leos. They're wonderful, creative people, or cats, if you will. I love cats.
I don't tend to make close bonds with Leos. I think it's just because I don't know very many. But I don't have any problem with them. I get along with them fairly well, but I just don't know very many, I think.
They're artists. They're a very artsy type. They're also very full of themselves. They think that they are princesses. But I like girls who are princesses who are artistic, so what can I say?
I've noticed that for a fire sign, which are typically bolder and brasher, they're actually fairly quiet.
No, actually, they're very, they like to be pretty. They like to make themselves look very, very pretty. They
Mhm.
like to be center of attention, um, mostly within artistic ways, I would say.
But compared to like a Sagittarius or an Aries, they're typically a lot quieter.
Um, so. I know more than you, so I guess I have a different experience than you with them.
It's
Um,
possible.
yeah. So we move on to the morning news, and believe me, tonight there's a lot of mourning in the morning news.
Drew Bernstein, the 51-year-old founder of the punk clothing line Lip Service and goth clothing line Widow, committed suicide in Los Angeles on August 18th. Bernstein is survived by his parents, Harry and Sonny Bernstein, and his brothers Todd and Reed Bernstein, as well as countless coworkers, colleagues, friends, and fans of his collections. In the days that followed the news, social media was filled with condolences, anecdotes, and memories. Many used the words heartbroken and devastated to describe their feelings. A series of memorials to remember Bernstein began on August 21st at the Dark Room nightclub on Melrose Avenue in Los Angeles, followed by a public memorial at 5 p.m. on August 23rd at the Lip Service headquarters in Los Angeles' Boyle Heights neighborhood. A third event was August 29th at the Dragonfly nightclub on Santa Monica Boulevard in Los Angeles. A California native, Bernstein was a '70s skate rat with a front row vantage on Los Angeles' punk scene. He learned guitar and formed a band, playing guitar, managing and promoting the band, and booking gigs. He learned how to silkscreen from punk artist Brian Tucker and how to rivet and stud leather at Ape Leather. With with his next band, Crucifix, he toured the US, Canada, and Europe. He made the leap from fashion as a sales rep for Nana. In 1985, he printed a pair of leggings with a skull and dagger design and launched Lip Service out of the back of his car. Nana picked up the line, as did Retail Slut and other boutiques that carried punk and alternative clothing. As he added more styles, the retail accounts began to grow. Many of those original retailers remain true to the brand. I met Drew in 1985 in San Francisco when he was repping several lines and selling the first 3 styles of lip service out of the trunk of his car. I placed our first order, and have proudly been selling lip service ever since, said Pam Majors, the owner of Junkman's Daughter in Atlanta. Drew was always on the forefront of fashion. He was in step with what was going on in the street and provided badass fashion to resonate with everyone's attitude. Mark Thomas, the owner of Chicago retail store The Alley and Mobtown Chicago Accessories, also met Bernstein in the early days. I've known Drew for 28 years, since the beginning, or maybe second season, he said. At The Alley, lip service was, for maybe a decade, our primary fashion line. Lip service, when it first started, was black goth clothing. At the time, I had been to England, and it was similar to some of the English companies. Bernstein described lip service as subculture rock and roll. In a 2006 story about the launch of Kill City and another higher-end collection called Rocara, Bernstein said, "At lip service, it's always been about, let's make cool stuff." Erica Klein, owner of Shout Public Relations, worked with Bernstein on the launch of the 2 lines. She recalled his passion for the business and his kindness and generosity with the people around him. He had an uncanny ability to see the potential in anyone, which makes his passing particularly hard to so many people whose lives he changed throughout his life and career, she said. "I only worked with Drew for a year, but the pearls of wisdom that he bestowed upon me I use to this day," said Rick Lohr, Vice President of Merchandising and Design at RVCA, who also worked on the Rocara line. Chris Horsfield, Vice President of Development at Schlott, who worked with Bernstein at lip service from 2004 to 2005, described him as a driving force with seemingly boundless energy. Drew insisted on carving his own path, he said. That energy and hands-on approach made Bernstein the top executive creative director, frontline salesperson, and trade show booth builder at his company. Lip Service's head of sales, Bryn Thomas, credited Bernstein's intoxicating energy and ambition with helping make her the person she is today. All of us in the alternative streetwear fashion scene owe him a debt of gratitude and respect for the legacy he created and dedicated his life to. Lip Service was a fashion cult, a lifestyle, a true original, just like the founder. Honestly, I don't think he ever knew what impact he had on the world. Karen Marmont, marketing consultant and music promoter, has known Bernstein since her days in marketing at the California Market Center in Los Angeles and its alternative look trade show. I was flattered to be accepted by Drew as what he affectionately termed freaks and weirdos, she said. He walked the walk and talked the talk, Marmot said. Marmot said she has a collection of favorite pieces created by the designers she's known throughout her career. Just this month I pulled out a 16-year-old patent pleather Snow White silhouette vintage lip service blouse I cherished. I enjoyed wearing it to my MC weekly psychobilly show. I wanted to send Drew a photo to show him how relevant his earlier pieces are today to the new generation of kids in the subculture. Drew's legacy is their inspiration. Many designers say that they were inspired by Bernstein's success. Bernstein dedicated his life to fashion, said Autumn Walters, designer for Lip Service, Widow, and the company's private label collections. The alternative apparel scene has lost one of the men who made it happen, she said. In addition, before the economic downturn, the company was bringing in about $12 million.
In the years.
Oh, sorry. In the years before the economic downturn, the company was bringing in $12 million in sales annually. But in recent years, the business began to struggle. Bernstein fought to keep it afloat, to continue what he had built, and to try and preserve the jobs of his employees, many of whom had been with him for years. Drew was and always will be the creative director of our brands, said Anderson. I want to make sure everything stays true to the brand's history and to Drew. With all Drew's experience and vision, only Drew knew lip service. Anderson said he plans to continue as he and Bernstein had planned, because that's what Drew would have wanted from all of us. The brands are going to live on in Drew's legacy and have the same creative team they will have always had. We have no intention to change anything on the creative branding and design front. The same sales team will be behind it. We will do everything we can to continue his dreams, his vision, and his legacy to the world.
We would also like to remember a sad anniversary. In 2007, on August 24th, Sophie Lancaster died due to the injuries inflicted upon her and her boyfriend during a horrible attack weeks earlier on August 11th. Many people seem to think that she died soon after the attack, forgetting that she survived for 13 days in horrible agony, in a lucid, medically induced coma, flinching and screaming out, reliving the attack before suffering a seizure and dying. I, Jacques Denier Kemplin, personally found out about the attack just a few hours after it had happened. I sat there with my friend Ashley, both of us horrified and in tears to find out that there was yet another attack. All throughout high school, my friends and I were attacked similarly, and through the internet, we were aware of many other attacks that had happened over the years. We were distraught and just sat crying, praying for Sophie and Rob, waiting for news on their recovery. But for Sophie, that news never came. Instead came the heartbreaking headlines of her death. Attacks still happen, as we reported several weeks ago. Please be safe, and please remember Sophie and what happened to her, and hold each other tightly and love one another. So, Jack, when did you find out about the Morgan. So, Morgan, when did you find out about the Sophie Lancaster incident?
So I have to admit that I don't really pay attention when someone gets hurt, but I don't really pay attention to wars and stuff like that either. I kind of try not to think about the fact that there's still these kind of things in the world. I try to be as existential as possible, trying to live every moment to the fullest, so that way if something like this were to ever happen to me or someone I cared about, that way I could say that, I mean, at least we had the time that we did.
Yeah. So, I take it you didn't find out for a while that she died then?
Truth be told, I actually just found out. As you were reading the article.
I thought I'd mentioned her death to you before.
You may have, but I don't know who it was, so it really didn't register.
Yeah. Well, from shortly after her death, I started wearing a Sophie bracelet, and I've never taken it off. I'm still wearing it right now. Anyway, let's move on to the next story.
Oh. Okay. A film adaptation of Neil Gaiman's epic comic book classic, The Sandman, has long been in the works. Unfortunately, none have managed to take off. numerous writers and directors have attempted to bring the concept to the big screen to no avail. Now, Joseph Gordon-Levitt appears to be slated to produce and star in the project and possibly even direct. Unfortunately, there is no script as of yet, but Jack Thorne has been drafted to take a stab at the concept, with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, David S. Goyer, and Neil Gaiman himself kicking in ideas. The original comics ran from 1989 to 1996 and won a ravenous following who were attracted to the literate, out-of-the-norm concept. It was in 1996 that the first director, Roger Avery, attempted to bring the concept to screen. Based on the comic storyline Preludes and Nocturnes, after Avery abandoned the project, it was passed through numerous hands. I lost my place, hold on. Sorry, Jack.
That's okay.
Okay, there it is. While promoting Sin City, A Dame to Kill...
You cut out. Please start that sentence again.
Okay. While promoting Sin City, A Dame to Kill For, Gordon-Levitt did discuss the Sandman film by saying, "It's a lot of the same people who worked on the Nolan Batman movies. It's really exciting. There's not a script yet. We're still kind of working it out because it's such a complicated adaptation because Sandman wasn't written as novels. Sin City was written as a novel. Sandman is a 75 episodic issue. There's a reason people have been trying and failing to adapt Sandman for the past 20 years. You know, we're still in the middle of it, so I don't want to make any claims, but I think we've got the right ideas." Do you think Joseph Gordon-Levitt is the right person to guide this project?
Well, so I'm not overly familiar with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I know that in the Nolan Batman film, he played the quote-unquote Robin character in the final one. That being said, as my friends know, I have no interest in the Nolan Batman movies. I've never seen any of them. So, I've never seen that Joseph Gordon-Levitt film, and I've actually never seen any other films with this guy. So as for him playing the Tyler character and directing and so on and so forth for Sandman, I have nothing to base on. If he's a good actor or a bad actor or a mediocre actor, I don't know. If he's right for the role or not, I don't know. I really don't know anything. Now, he said that a lot of the people that's going to be involved in it are the people who were involved in the Nolan Batman film. From what I know about the Nolan Batman film, it doesn't really feel like Sandman. I mean, Sandman, from my understanding, is a dark fantasy. The Nolan Batman films, fantasy isn't quite the word that I'd use to describe them. So, but, you know, I mean, I can't judge because I really don't know. What do you think of it?
Well, I've seen the Nolan Batman movies. The only one of them that really stood out to me was the second one that had the late Heath Ledger in it. And I think that's just because he played the character of Joker so much darker than I had ever seen Joker done before. But the other two movies that he made didn't really hold my attention. There was just something lacking about them. It was almost as if Heath Ledger kind of stole the show.
Well, yeah, and in fact, I know from several reviews that Batman Begins is considered just a mediocre film, just an okay film. And of course, everyone knows that the third Nolan Batman film, The Dark Knight Rises, is considered a mediocre film at best too. And so you're probably right. That being said, I want to say I liked several of Heath Ledger's films. What I've seen of Heath Ledger as the Joker, I haven't seen him as the Joker, of course, but what I have seen of it, I am not happy with that interpretation of the Joker. That being said, I don't blame that on Heath Ledger because obviously it must have gone through the script writers and the art department and through the director before it ever got to Ledger. So the problems with with that version of the Joker, the things I don't like about it, I cannot blame on Heath Ledger, and probably the best elements of that Joker, the parts of him that are really good, probably did come from Heath Ledger. So you're probably exactly right that.
Now that being said, I think I think that Joseph Gordon-Levitt is an amazing actor. I loved him in 500 Days of Summer, and I loved him in 10 Things I Hate About You, opposite Heath Ledger. I really liked him. I think that he's much more of a comedic actor than a dark actor, but I think that he can. But he does typically have that innocent, like, young kid confused at what's going on type of feel to him. So I don't know how well he'd interpret the main character of Sandman, but as one of the background characters, I could see him possibly doing something like that.
And you might be right. Maybe he will be just playing one of the background characters. And I never saw 10 Things I Hate About You. I've only seen half of Ledger's work.
Well, 10 Things I Hate About You has been one of my favorite movies for a really long time.
But is it goth?
No, but the two main characters, well, not the two main characters, but the main female character and her best friend, they're like the alternative kids at their school. So I've always kind of identified with them, even though they're not necessarily goth per se.
Yes, well, speaking of gothic films, is there any other gothic film news out there?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Beetlejuice 2 release date is set with the original cast members Michael Keaton and Winona Ryder ready to reprise their roles. Original director Tim Burton is said to be in talks with the screenwriter Seth Grahame-Smith for the planned project. Well, Michael Keaton's 1988 horror film... let me start that sentence over. While Michael Keaton's 1988 horror comedy film was rumored for a remake sequel during the 90s, the project didn't ever come to life. However, he is
You cut out now. Start with was rumored.
Was rumored for a remake sequel during the 1990s.
Put the word "or" in there, please.
Huh?
I know it's not there, but the slash means "or," so.
Oh. Let me just start that paragraph over again then.
No, just start rumored.
Okay. Rumored for a remake or sequel during the 1990s, the project didn't ever come to life. However, he is reportedly readying a new script for Beetlejuice 2. Keaton has said that he's in constant communication with Burton discussing Beetlejuice 2. He revealed that they are both excited and ready for the project. I've emailed Tim a couple of times and talked to the writer a couple of times, but all really, really preliminary stuff until relatively recently. I've always said that's the one thing I'd like to do again, if I ever did anything. But it kind of required Tim to be involved in some way or another. Now it looks like he is involved, and without giving too much away, we've talked to each other and emailed each other, and if he's in, it's going to be hard not to be in. Winona Ryder has said that she is ready to come back and play the adult version of her character, Lydia Dietz, if the planned movie goes into production. While the planned film is still in its early stages and Tim Burton is still up for other movie projects, fans are eager to see the horrid-looking yet extremely adorable Beetlejuice back on screen.
Are you eager to see it on screen?
Oh, heavens, yes. I love the Beetlejuice movies. I thought that Lydia was an amazingly adorable character before I knew what goth was.
Well, me, I was, I'm sure you were too, raised on Beetlejuice. I was raised on both the original movie as well as the TV show. I still have every episode of the animated TV show. I love it to death. I plan on sharing it with with my daughter. It's just absolutely wonderful. I love both incarnations of it. That being said, the original film was very self-contained. it really did not need a sequel, and that's why it didn't get a sequel for so long. I mean, it's basically been, really, if you look at it, it's been almost 30 years. It'll be 30 years coming up soon. That, you know, since we had the film, and so if it went that long without a sequel, there's a reason. It's because it really didn't need one. It was a beautiful, self-contained, wonderful film. Was there room for a sequel? Of course, but it was such a great story. You know, it wasn't that necessity for one. And you know, I'm aware of the sequels that were plotted out and planned for back in the 90s, and I actually have read a few of the scripts for the 1990 sequels, and I can only say I pray to Tim Burton that the film that they're planning on making now has absolutely nothing to do with those 1990s sequels, because they produced 3 different scripts for the sequel back in the 90s, and each of them all were the same storyline, basically. And so that tells you they really, really, really wanted to do that storyline. And so I'm really, really scared that they're going to do that storyline, because I really don't want them to. What they were going to be called is Beetlejuice in Hawaii.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Beetlejuice in Hawaii. I don't want to see that. I really don't.
That either.
Yeah. If this ends up being Beetlejuice in Hawaii, like what they were planning for so long, I'm not gonna see it in the story. Look, now take the concept of Beetlejuice in Hawaii and put that next to the first Beetlejuice film or the animated show. No, actually, I don't want to see that. No, please don't make that. You know? So, that being said, if they don't make that, then maybe I'll give it a chance. If it is anything like the TV show, I'll definitely see it, even though the TV show was vastly different than the movie, you know, but they were both brilliant, so I'm okay with both. Although I do have one question, and that is, so is Beetlejuice going to have a little itty bitty head in this film? No response to that? Hello? You there? Ooh, did you drop out? I think my host just died. Whoop, she did. Well, YouTubers, it's just you and me again, like always. How have you guys been? Ooh, she's back. Hola.
Hello.
So did you hear the last thing I said?
Nope.
I said I do want you to comment on this section. I have one question about this sequel, and that is Beetlejuice going to have a little itty bitty head?
That would be so adorable.
Well, you remember how the film ended, right?
Yeah. He got his head shrunk by the shrunken
So,
Okay.
they said, hey, I think this might be a good look for me. So does that mean throughout this entire film, he's going to... Imagine him having that little head in Hawaii. That's the film that we're probably going to get.
Oh, good Lord.
Little head Beetlejuice in Hawaii. That huge sound's back.
Huh?
Ah, sound is back. The golden speaker sound is back. Did you move back into a certain place that you left?
I don't know. No.
You're in the place that you've been throughout the entire rest of the show?
I'm in the same place. I have not moved.
Oh, that sound is back and buzzing loud as ever. Well, you know, and it's going to be on the YouTube video if you want to check it at some point. So, you know.
You want me to try disconnecting and reconnecting?
I guess you can, but I don't think that's going to help it. Maybe if you want to disconnect and reconnect and move to a slightly different location, that would probably help.
All right.
Yeah, sorry about that.
See you in a minute.
Sure. Ooh, YouTube listeners. I know, she just blew your speakers. Rest in peace, headphone users. I can relate. Big headphone issues. Ah! So, do any of you YouTube listeners have little heads? Got into an argument with the witch doctor as of late? But witch doctor? No, that joke's for later in the show. Hello?
Greetings and salutations, mortal.
Well, the sound's still in the background, in case you want to know. I honestly think it has to do with airflow in your house and you being up near bad corners or something. I don't know. All right, who just killed the dog? No.
Somebody was probably walking around outside.
But yeah, it's a loud sound. Are any of your windows ajar? Are any of your windows ajar? Oh, that big.
Nope.
It's right there. It's huge. The sound. As I said to the guys while you were gone on YouTube, rest in peace, headphone users. You just killed the ears of everyone.
I'm sorry, do you want me to go?
Well, you still have to do at least, you still have half of a show to do. You have at least your recipe, and then there's the dog thingy, and I can do the travel thing, but, you know, I mean, no, I don't want you to go. I want that background thing to go away. You know what I mean?
If I could make it stop, I would make it stop, but I don't know how.
I know. I hope you can tell I'm not angry or anything. I just it's one of those things where it's like, well, I can't do it. can't have that sound on the show, because then everyone's gonna go ah, you know. So it's one of those things where it's like, well,
are you still hearing it?
You would have to speak more for me to know. From what
Are you still hearing it?
Well, since the next segment is mine, perhaps I should read that, or else do you want to just cut through and do your segment so that you can go?
Okay.
Which would you like to do? Would you like to just try and stick around for the whole show, or else would you like to run through the show real quick?
I don't really have a preference.
Okay, well, let's run through it real quick.
Okay.
All right. So,
all right.
Do you have any comments on the beautiful Victorian house in Sydney?
No.
You have no comments. All right, that's where you go. All right. So.
Did you already read the article?
What?
Did you already read the article?
No, I have not.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I've not read it.
All right, go for it.
So you do want to do the whole show then? Okay.
Whatever.
I was just going to make us go through because that sound seems to be away for the moment. I thought we might as well hit while the iron's hot. So,
all right.
Anyway, so let's just skip around. Just read the Velvet Acid Christ and the Damned.
Okay. Velvet Acid Christ, Wednesday, August 27th at Club Mutsichki, Liverpool, Wrocław, Poland. Friday, 29th of August, Electroworks, London, UK. Saturday, 30 August, Coal Temple, Oberhausen, Germany. The Damned. Sorry, do you want me to pause for a second?
No, it sounds great.
Okay. The Damned, 30 August, Northumbria University in Newcastle upon Tyne, United Kingdom.
Right. Sounds good. So, I guess we can record your recipe, because of course I can record my own recipes. So go way down here.
All right. Ready?
Sure.
That sounds to die for. And now, to go with that, we shall have cherry chocolate bourbon soda. You will need 3/4 of a cup cherry vanilla soda, 15 drops Taza Mexican chocolate extract, 1 shot bourbon. Combine the soda, chocolate extract, and bourbon in a goblet. Stir gently, then drink. To concoct the cherry vanilla elixir, you'll need 2 pounds of pitted fresh cherries.
Stop. You're sounding a lot more better this time than the previous times, but you're not quite getting that. When I put something in capitals, that means you're supposed to put emphasis on it. So an emphasis almost sounding angry. You're cooking, and cooking is a very violent act, okay? And so it's 2 pounds of pitted fresh cherries. Do you get the point there? So you see how it's capitalized, right? That means that it's supposed to come out of your mouth in a very violent. You're pounding it. It's pounds of pitted fresh cherries. You get what I mean? It's because cooking, I mean, you're tearing things apart, you're putting them together. It's a very, you know what I mean? So
yes.
So you weren't emphasizing it enough. You weren't making it as action as it needs to be. So
okay.
So you can start.
All right, where do you want me to go?
Start with 2 pounds pitted.
Okay. 2 pounds of pitted cherries, 4 limes.
Oh, that is bitter.
1/2 teaspoon vanilla extract, 1 cup water, plus more to fill the bottle. 9 tablespoons sugar, 1/8 a teaspoon salt.
You cut out there.
What did you?
You need to do the 1/8 teaspoon salt.
1/8 teaspoon salt.
Salt in a soda? Could I skip that?
1/8 teaspoon dry champagne yeast.
Yeast is alive!
Place the cherries, lime juice, and vanilla in a large cauldron and abandon. In a medium cauldron over a fire, bring the cup of water to a boil, then stir in the sugar and salt until it is dissolved.
It vanishes. It must be witchcraft.
Pour the mixture over the cherries and let them macerate. Or how do I say that word?
Macerate.
Macerate?
Yeah.
Pour the mixture over the cherries and let them macerate.
Oh, you cut out there. But yeah, macerate, and whenever you say it, I want them to feel almost like as if you're talking about massacre. You know what I mean?
All right. Pour the mixture over the cherries and let them macerate for 13 minutes.
Pour boiling, sticky salt water on it. Oh, the torture!
Then puree in a blender until smooth.
To hide the bodies.
Strain the puree through a fine mesh strainer, catching the liquid in a bowl.
You don't want any of the chunks, huh?
Now pour the liquid through a funnel into a 2-liter soda bottle, filling the rest of the bottle with water, leaving at least an inch at the head space between the elixir and cap. Then taste and add more lime juice, sugar, or vanilla as desired. Finally, add the champagne yeast to the bottle.
It's alive!
Screw on the cap.
Imprisoning it.
And
Oh, you cut out there. You cut out.
and shake.
The horror!
Abandon the bottle for 2 days in the cupboard or under the sink, anywhere out of direct sunlight.
Because it is a vampire.
Check the bottle periodically to avoid overcarbonization. Let me say that over. Check the bottle periodically to avoid Check the bottle periodically to avoid overcarbonation and a bursted bottle.
That could be messy.
Now, on the 3rd day, the bottle should feel rock solid when you press against the sides.
Like every girl's dream vampire.
Place it in the morgue to slow the decomposition process and serve cold.
Exquisite. You're supposed to join me there.
Exquisite.
Try it again. Wait, we'll try again. 1, 2, 3. You're not going to do it, huh?
Exquisite.
Didn't
I'm
work.
doing it.
Yeah, but we weren't doing it in sync.
All right.
You do the
Okay.
count off.
1, 2, 3. Exquisite.
Exquisite. There we go. Perfect. In the future, because of the delay, we're going to have you do it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So, go with your doggy review.
All right. I just lost my place. Hold on.
You're doing it doggy style with your little fucker. Oh, whoops, no cursing in the show. I'm going to cut that out, clearly.
All right. Tonight, we're going to go gothic doggy style. We're going to talk about my gothic little pup, Tucker, and his
That dirty little
clothing.
fucker.
Now, my dog is a reflection of me, and so when I'm out walking him through the neighborhood in the middle of the night, and I run into someone, I don't want them to say, "Oh, what a precious little girly pooch," even though he is a terrier. He is a silky terrier.
Ooh, is that like a silky chicken?
So I
Those
dress him
black
up.
chickens? Wait, I want to. Ooh, is that like a silky chicken? Those black chickens with black bones?
Well, he does have some black fur, but I typically keep his hair cropped short so that I can put little sweaters and stuff on him. Now, his favorite sweater that I have for him is actually a Nightmare Before Christmas hoodie, and I found it at at the, I don't remember whether it was PetSmart or Petco, but it fits him perfectly, and he looks so cute in it.
I have a little sweater
And
for one of my. I have a little sweater for one of my.
Sorry, go ahead.
You're at me a second time. I have a little sweater for one of my pussies. I don't know where it is, but I mean, it doesn't matter. It's a radio show, so you couldn't see it anyway. But it's a lovely little. It says something like I don't know if it says rock star or something of that nature, but I have a black sweater for my little kitty Bastet, and it has pink words on it, even though he's a boy. But there's nothing wrong with men wearing pink, I tell you, especially whenever they're named Bastet, which is a girl's name. And yeah, it says something that has to do with being a rock star. But I got a little news for people who might want to buy dog sweaters and put them on cats, and that is because cats' arms are built differently than dog arms. It doesn't fit right on a cat, and it's very, very restrictive. It doesn't allow a cat to move or walk the way that a cat normally walks. So if you do buy one for a cat, what you have to do is you have to cut off the sleeves on it and make it a spaghetti strap shirt. Or a muscle shirt. Yes, a muscle shirt. Muscle shirt for my big, strong, muscular little pussy.
And my Tucker also has a little sweater with skull on it, and that way he and I can be dressed similarly when we're out on our walks at night.
Nice.
The secret to making sure the secret
Oh.
to finding the secret. Yes. Hello?
Go ahead.
Okay. The secret to finding the best stuff for the dogs to wear is to shop around Halloween or around Christmas. Around Christmas, they usually carry Nightmare Before Christmas stuff, and during Halloween, they have all sorts of clothes for your dogs to wear.
For your pets to wear. After all, what if someone wants to buy something for their fruit bat or something for their iguana? Although I would not suggest buying a sweater for your snake. Although, if you have...
In that case...
Although, if you have like what I have a Nightmare Before Christmas striped stocking. I guess if you wear that stocking so much that it gets a hole in the toe, I guess you could put it on your snake.
That's about what I was about to suggest. You could use an arm warmer or a leg warmer as a shirt for a snake.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how well they'd take to it, though.
Well, I imagine for a bat, though, you'd have to do the same thing for like what you have to do for a cat, where you'd have to make it spaghetti strap.
And you'd have to also factor in its wings.
That's what I just said, spaghetti strapped. You can make it spaghetti strap. You can make it spaghetti strap with the little snaps at the top.
Hmm.
Yeah, it works, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Yes. See, we've come up with our own gothic pet clothing line. Gothic.
Okay.
Gothic.
Anything else?
I'm about to say something. Gothic pet clothing. See it soon. You heard it first on The Mourning Show. Album review.
Album review. Okay. The time has come to awaken our oral senses with the melodies of the night and the rhythms of the shadows, to stir our inner selves to surface as we analyze and inspect an album to bits and pieces. So without further ado, Paradox Addendum by the Cruxshadows. So this album is actually probably the first Gothic album that I ever listened to in its entirety. It's my favorite Cruxshadows album. It's actually not a full-length album, though. It's actually more of an EP. So the music type is that driving electronic beat with melodic vocals, and it's very, very beautiful. The best thing about this album is probably just the songs. They're really amazing. There's Love Tragedy, which is a really brilliant song. This album has Eurydice, which I think is actually a remix of it, and it's my favorite remix of it. And at the end of the album, this album actually has a reading of Edgar Allan Poe's Annabel Lee, which is actually one of my favorite pieces of Gothic literature, that poem. The thing that this album lacks the most is length. I really wish that this album were a little bit longer. I've listened to it on repeat so many times that, like, just because I didn't want it to end. Jack, do you have any frighteningly fun facts about the band or the album?
No. I'm asleep right now. I'm not prepared for any of this.
Now you know how I feel.
No. Let me guide this to a quick ending then. So, under goodness of quality and for darkness, what ratings would you give it for both of those?
For darkness, I would probably give it a 9. It's sufficiently dark. And for quality, I would give it a 10.
Wait, before you get there. Yes, anything with Annabel Lee in it would probably get a 9 or a 10 in darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Say the quality thing again.
And, wait, what?
I cut you off on the quality thing, so you have to say that again.
Oh, and for quality, I'd probably give it a 10. It's beautiful. It's impeccable. It is awesome. And then I forgot the category of what this reminds me of. So, what this album reminds me of is first getting into the Gothic culture. First actually becoming a real goth rather than just the baby bat that I once was.
Okay, well, I think that's good enough for the interview, and I'm not going to add anything really to the interview because I haven't listened to that album in quite a long time. So I've listened to it, it's been a while. So, and actually I'm going to put that at the end of our thingy. We obviously don't have any entertainment reviews, Ray, do we? Have you seen anything recently? We never got down to discussing that. Have you seen anything, Gothic movies or anything that we should talk about?
I recently saw the show Penny Dreadful.
The what?
The show Penny Dreadful.
Oh, yes. How many episodes did you watch?
I've watched about 3 or 4 of them.
Okay, the same amount that I did last time that I reviewed it on episode 1. So, that sounds good. We will feature a little bit of that segment then, okay?
Okay.
And I will give the intro, okay? There's no written intro, but I have one in my head. Now we are going to take the listeners back, for this episode is Lucky or Unlucky 13. And in episode 1, I reviewed the wonderful television series Penny Dreadful. Well, our new host, Morgan, is at the same point in her watching of it as I was whenever I originally reviewed it, episode 3 or 4. So, Morgan, what do you think of the show thus far?
I really like it. It was slow for me to get into the first episode, but after I got to the end of it, I just wanted more and more. It's really weird seeing Joshua Hartnett playing a character that's not his normal teenage heartthrob type role from what he used to do. I also really liked Billie Piper's character in it, which is ironic because I don't like her very much on other shows I've seen her on.
Who?
I really...
Really?
Huh?
Who?
I loved their interpretation of Dorian Gray. I think that he is wonderfully snarky and full of himself and cocky, and it's just such a wonderful take of him. And I loved their version of Dr. Frankenstein and his monsters. I really enjoyed that, especially when his second monster or his first monster shows up and does what he does with the second monster.
I was heartbroken when that happened.
I was too. I couldn't believe that they actually did that. But so far, I'm hooked. It's got its tenter hooks in me, and I plan to continue watching.
Has anyone spoiled any of it yet for you, though?
No.
Oh. Well, that's...
There's another scene that I'd like to point out.
Yes?
There's another scene that I want to point out that I really liked. I really liked when I don't know what the character's name was, but the main chick, when they're doing the seance, that scene is so intense. It was just amazing.
Say the word woman so I can replace the word chick. I don't like the word chick on the show.
When that woman...
Say, when the main woman...
When the main woman...
There you go. No, that word's not acceptable on this show. Anyway, yes, Eva Green. In our original review for the show, we all just praised her. Everyone, all the hosts. I got a cat, and the cat's been crying out my door for half an hour. By the way, yes, chick is not okay, but pussy's okay. No, related to cats.
That's so totally fair.
Yeah, I know. No, as long as it relates to cats, it is okay. A chick is okay. You know when it's okay on the show?
When you're talking about a chicken?
Yeah, we're talking about baby chicken. It is perfectly okay.
And I noticed when you were interviewing Asha that whenever she said kid, you redirected her with child.
Yes, I'm like that. I'm insane. Anyway, that's not going to be in the finished edited version of the show. I thought I'd bring it up. It's fun for our YouTube listeners to realize that. Anyway, I'm saying, all the hosts for this show have great love for Ava Green. I know I love her a lot. Lena loves her. Darkest Jack does. We just love her. She is a wonderful, wonderful actress. That's the actress who plays the main girl. No! You went away! She vanished! No! My co-host, she left. Wonder if she'll be back. If not, I can do the travel segment. Oh, there you are.
Sorry.
Oh, oh my. The sound. Oh, it's back. Horrible. Headphones gone. Our YouTube listeners just died. They're bleeding from their ears.
what?
Screeching.
Screeching?
Ah!
Are you still hearing screeching? Ah!
It returned. It returned. It returned whenever you did. Big background noise. Terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, our YouTube listeners are not very happy with me at the moment.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Darklings. I love you. Mwah.
Their bats are going deaf.
Oh, poor bats.
Their echolocation sonars. All their cats and dogs are crying out in pain.
My dog is looking at me like, what the hell are you doing?
Trying to make their dogs deaf. She's trying to make them go into a seizure. Seriously, log on back in, please. It's not nice.
Alright, I'll try it again.
That was terrible, YouTubers. Terrible. You know, YouTubers, before we actually went on the air, she was saying that I was hallucinating that sound. I tried to get, no, here's some evidence.
Do you still hear it?
Well, it's a lower layer remember that. I don't know.
Greetings and salutations, Darklings.
It sounds terrible.
Does it?
Oh, it's... My suggestion...
Well, I've done...
my suggestion is at some point you have to watch the unedited one of this on YouTube. So you can hear how painful it is. Do it with headphones on, that way you die.
I've done most of my bit. Do you want to just do the travel segment and have me go?
Let's see, where were we? Well, if you did not have that terrible sound, I would have you close up your review of Penny Dreadful, but it's kind of hard for you to close it up with that loud sound. You know?
Well, I didn't really have anything more to say on it.
Yeah, well, even if you did with that loud sound, you couldn't, because anyone listening to our show, especially on headphones, would be very angry with you. You know what I mean? Because you would hurt their ears with that loud boo. Sounds, like that test signal that you hear on TVs late at night when you were young. Boo. He's like, no. So, too bad you can't do your end of show is what that means. Although, I mean, there's not much for you to say either. You know what I mean? Now it's just, now we're going to go corner to corner. You could try and say it and hope that yeah, go ahead.
I don't really care for that line.
I know, I can actually say that line. You could say we're signing off, but right now you can't say anything because the moment that you said anything, our listeners would go to their ears. You know what I mean? So, because
is it still doing it?
On and off right now.
Okay.
You can very quickly try and say we're signing off.
Farewell, Darklings. We're signing off.
You cut out during that, and the sound was still there, and also there's no reason to say hello. It's the end. It's a goodbye.
I said farewell, Darklings.
Oh, well, see, you were cutting out.
All right, you want me to try it again?
Yep.
Farewell, Darklings. We're signing off.
All right. It's just kind of sad that doesn't go with the whole theme of the closing, but that's all right. Because the closing, we're supposed to pretend to be depressed.
All right. Do you want me to try it again?
Well, and farewell just doesn't fit into that. Do you have anything more depressing?
Adieu, darklings.
All right. Then I'll put the worst sign off right after that, and it should work. Okay? Yeah,
Okay.
adeu's better. Adeu's better. I like adieu. Okay?
Adieu, darklings.
Well, you cut out during that, so that's okay. We already got it once, so it's okay. Yeah, the sound is still a little there. The sound is enough there that we can't have you do the travel segment because it's less than what it was. It's not going to kill anyone now, but the sound is so much that it's going to annoy people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I liked that you used my greetings and salutations, darklings, at the beginning of last episode.
Yes, I liked it too. I was thinking about adding it in to this. If you'd like to re-say that right now.
Greetings and salutations, darklings.
All right, there we go. So while we have sort of a not the thing, the ooh is there, but it's not very loud. I think the audience could allow for it for a few seconds, but not for a big, huge segment. You know what I mean? So if you do want to say any closing remarks on the Penny Dreadful review, say it now.
I give it 4 out of 5 I give it 4 out of 6 zombie arms clawing their way from the grave.
Very good. Now, because I did make a comment that we all love Ava Green, you should really make a response to me about Ava Green.
Ava Green was very beautiful in that she did an amazing job in the seance scene.
Your sound is clearing up. This is a good sign. The sound's almost gone. Well, there's a few more things I'd like to say actually about it, and I'll add them in. But if you want to comment to anything I'm going to say, go ahead, because some of it's going to be teasing you a little bit about things that you don't know yet, and that is, so you say no one has spoiled any of the show for you, huh?
Mm-mm.
Well, I can say that one good-looking actor, what's his name again?
Josh Hartnett?
Josh Hartnett, yes. Well, he's going to get into some very hairy situations, you know. And as for that Brona character, that Billie Piper, you can probably tell she's ill, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, she needs a doctor. But the question is, who?
Doctor Who?
I just thought
Jack, you old scoundrel.
I know. By the way, did I just ruin a spoiler by saying hairy situations?
No, I kind of figured that was coming.
Yeah, Harry, he gets to some hairy situations. Anyway, so yes, we all at the morning show love Penny Dreadful and give our full support to it. It is a wonderful show. So, since your sound's back somewhat, do you actually want to do the travel segment?
Sure.
All right, then let me do the... Oh, wait, you're going to do the whole opening, huh? Well, I guess I can just sit back until you're all done, and then as soon as you're... Yeah, then I can do all my recordings.
All right. To see what dark doorways we may haunt, we shall now traverse the globe across the Gothic landscapes to La Galerie des Paléontologie et d'Anatomie comparée et le Muséum national d'histoire naturelle en le Jardin des Plantes en Paris. Spend an afternoon exploring this amazing stampede of skeletons. If you love skeletons, as I'm sure you do, after all, there is one living inside of you, then you will love the gallery of comparative anatomy. Imagine 1,000 carefully reconstructed animal skeletons, all facing one direction, lining the walls from floor to ceilings like a giant stampede of the undead. The sight could just make you shriek. The gallery was inaugurated in 1898 as part of l'Exposition Universelle de Paris of 1900 and was the creation of Professors Albert Gaudry and Georges Pochet, who wished to preserve and present to the public collections of great historic and scientific importance. The collections derive from the great expeditions of the traveler naturalists of the 18th and 19th centuries, from the 18th and 19th centuries, as well as the menagerie zoo of the Jardin des Plantes. The stampede of the dead is actually hard to comprehend. 1,000 carefully constructed animal skeletons made up of elephants, horses, lions, tigers, oh my, giraffes, monkeys, whales, bears, deer, and pretty much any other animal that you could possibly imagine, some of which are actually extinct today. If you're planning on visiting the gallery, you'll also want to explore the National Museum of Natural History. You'll also want to explore the National Museum of Natural History, which focuses on classification of evolution, history of Earth, prehistory, as well as countless other things. The Gallery of Comparative Anatomy and Paleontology is one of the world's most beautiful and comprehensive collections and is absolutely worth spending an eternity exploring.
You know, actually quite a bit of that was actually written by me. I wrote the Eternity Exploring. I wrote that the sight could just make you shriek. And I also wrote, if you love skeletons, as I'm sure you do, after all, there's one living inside of you. I wrote all that. The terrible sound. The sound is back. Anyway, good thing you're done reading, huh? But yeah, so a lot
So are you done with me?
Basically, I want to say since that's so. Yeah, a lot of those jokes that you read were actually jokes created by me. I did not write the whole article, but the jokes I wrote. Yes. Right. So yeah, I still have half a show to record. What?
Je suis fini.
I can't hear you. You're kind of.
Je suis fini.
Just what?
Je suis fini.
It's okay.
I'm finished.
Yes, you are. You are finished. Anyway, that's okay. Remember, I don't speak French. I speak Quebecois anyway. So,
yeah.
Do you speak Quebecois or French?
French.
See, I never learned French. I just learned Quebecois.
Quebecois is sometimes. No offense to the Quebecians or to the Quebecois, but it's sometimes painful for me to listen to that type of French.
Yeah, well, the two things that you could compare Quebecois to is, so if Parisian French is British English, then Quebecois is either redneck or else Ebonics. Yeah. It's very.
It's painful for me to listen to those American accents too. I'm kind of a purist when it comes to accents. I don't like listening to Mexican Spanish. I like listening to High Castilian.
Ooh, that's beautiful. Okay. Anyway, now this talk's going up on the show. I still have a lot to record. Our YouTube people are going to hear us gabber on about French in the middle of a recording. So, you have a good evening. I still have 60% of a show to record.
All right.
Italy.
Right.
Right.
Mwah.
They're both taken.
Good night.
All right, night. My ears! My ears! My God, my ears! My ears, my ears, my ears. Ooh, ooh, YouTubers. I can hear. You blew out the speakers. I'm sure absolutely no one is going to hear any of that lovely banter about French on the show, because no one is going to suffer through that loud noise. I'm so sorry, YouTubers, that you had to go through that. Ugh. I'm just preparing myself for the rest of the recording. I know my hair, it's so lovely, huh? No, it's so thin, I know. Oh, I have so much of a show to do. Oh. Anyway. Do you wish to be the Australian version of the Addams family? Because if you do, then you will be thrilled to know that Verulam, an Addams family style house, is on the market for the first time since 1924. Verulam is located at 284 Moore Park Road, Paddington, Sydney, Australia. It sits across the road from a modern sports stadium, but Verulam is from another era. The home, which is listed with Louise Snowden of Rain and Horn, Double Bay, dates back to the latter part of the 19th century, and today still boasts essentials of the day, such as stables. It really is a unique essentials of the day, such as stables. It really is a unique property, Miss Snowden said. Auntie Toops, one of the daughters of the original owners, lived in the house almost continuously for the last 90 years. The property at 284 Moore Park Road was purchased in 1924 by the Hayde family. According to historical records, it was probably built in the latter part of the 1800s as a farmhouse and then later converted into a gentleman's residence. During this time, other buildings were being erected in Paddington near the tram line and the Victorian barracks. Fittingly for a gentleman's residence, it featured fine fittings and dimensions, many which still remain today. Those include marble fireplaces, ornate 3 by 3 meter ceilings, lead light windows, and veranda columns. The 3-level Federation Queen Anne style residence is housed on a large parcel of land directly opposite the landmark SCG and Elan Stadium. It's set on almost 400 square meters of level land, one of Moore Park Road's largest landholdings, featuring a frontage of more than 9 meters with a deep setback. It opens to a large garden and features rear access. The home is a perfect project for those with grand designs with extensive renovation required. The property features a classic entry hall, 5 bedrooms, grand reception rooms, a large dine-in kitchen, sunroom, family room with enclosed veranda, and 2 bathrooms. There is also the stables that could be converted into a triple-car garage and au-pair accommodation or home office. With a price guide of more than $2 million, the home will be Australian USD. The home will be auctioned, right, not USD, AUD, ASD, Australian dollars. Australian dollars. The home will be auctioned on September 11th. I would love to live in such a place, but I've looked at the pictures of it, and they're right. It needs some very, very extensive renovations. It looks terrible. It looks very rotted away. There are cracks in the wall. The paint is all messed up. I mean, and that does add a little bit of a haunted Addams family style to it too. But you know, I mean, it's a real fixer-upper. It really is, and Australia's okay. I wouldn't mind visiting. In fact, I'd love to visit Australia. Not sure if I'd want to live there, though, especially not in Sydney. I'm not so much for big cities, although I'm okay with big cities. But I'd much prefer to live in England or Germany or someplace like that. There are no new upcoming shows for the next 2 weeks, which we haven't already reported on. But here are some we reported last week, which are still coming up. London After Midnight, Saturday, August 30th, Los Angeles, California, at Roxy Theater. Unwoman, Friday, August 29th through Monday, September 1st, at DragonCon in Atlanta, Georgia. That music, it can both put me to sleep like a little lamb and tear out my... It can both put me to sleep like a little lamb and tear out my heart. So tonight, as we gather recipes from our ghoulish Gothic griddle, we shall eat our hearts out and have lamb's hearts stuffed with a selenin mash. Selenin is a fabled root eaten in Homer's Odyssey. Today it is known as celeric or turnip-rooted celery. You will need 2 royal purple potatoes, quartered, 1/4 of a selenon, peeled and chopped into cubes, 2 teaspoons of salted butter, a 1/2 cup full fat milk, 1 glass of red wine, 2 red onions finely chopped, 4 garlic cloves peeled and chopped, 6 fresh sage leaves chopped, black sea salt and ground white pepper, just because we like to be opposite from everyone else. 2 cups stale crumbled pumpernickel bread, 4 lamb's hearts, 1 liter meat broth, and cooking twine. In a large cauldron, cover the potatoes and selenin with water and bring to a boil. Oh, the torture! Reduce the heat and simmer until tender. I would be tender after that. Drain and return to the cauldron. Add the salted butter and cover to let the butter melt. Take off the lid and mash, slowly adding the milk to create a creamy consistency. Then pour in the red wine and add the onion, garlic, sage, black salt, and white pepper. Then add the stale, crumbled black bread, a little at a time, to create an unctuous mixture. Continue cooking until firm and able to hold shape. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Trim the hearts, removing any fatty nodules and sinews so that the flap at the top of the heart can be used to cover the opening later on. Next, use your fingers to scoop out any blood clots at the base of the ventricles. You could ask your butcher to do this. But scooping out blood clots with your fingers can be so much fun. You could be the butcher. Now stuff the selenon mash into each heart until the chambers are filled right to the top. Then bring the flap down to cover the stuffing, using cooking twine to tie or sew shut each heart. Just like my heart, sewn shut. Stand the hearts upright in a deep roasting tray and pour the meat broth around them. Cover with aluminium and cook for 2.5 hours. Remove from the oven and lift out the hearts onto a warm serving dish. Eat your hearts out. And to go with it on that plate shall be Dracula's blood Rosato, Dracula's blood Rosato. To make it you shall need 1/4 teaspoon kosher salt, plus more to taste. I.S. a Jewish vampire. 1 cup spelt, soaked overnight, drained and rinsed. Overnight because it is also a vampire. 1/4 cup red wine vinegar. I never drink wine. 1 tablespoon sugar. 1 small beet, peeled and cut into 1/8 inch cubes. 1/3 cup cream fraîche. 2 tablespoons horseradish cream. If you grate it fresh, it will make you cry. 1 tablespoon extra virgin olive oil. The virginal brides file past this tomb, strewn with time's dead flowers. I try that again. The virginal brides file past his tomb, strewn with time's dead flowers, bereft in deathly bloom. Alone in a darkened room, the Count. 1/4 small bulb Phenyl, cored and thinly shaved on a mandolin. Shaved on a musical instrument? Freshly ground black pepper to taste. 1 cup beet juice. 1.5 cups meat broth. 1.5 cups meat broth, left over from the cooking of the hearts. 2 tablespoons canola oil. 2 cloves garlic minced. Blah! 1 large shallot minced. 1/2 cup of Madeira wine. 1/2 cup freshly grated Parmesan. 4 tablespoons unsalted butter. Bring 6 cups salted water to a boil in a cauldron. Add spelt and cook. Stirring occasionally until al dente 20 minutes. Drain and abandon. Whisk together 1/4 teaspoon salt, vinegar and sugar in a small bowl until sugar is dissolved. Add beet cubes and let marinate for 1 hour. Drain and chill the beets. Drain and chill beets. In a small bowl, mix together cream fraîche and horseradish. Abandon in the morgue. In another small cauldron, toss together olive oil and fennel and season with salt and pepper. Abandon in the morgue. Pour beet juice into a cauldron over medium-high heat and cook until reduced by half. Abandon beet juice to cool like a corpse. Meanwhile, heat the broth in a cauldron over medium heat. Set aside and keep warm. Heat canola oil in a 10-inch skillet over medium heat and add garlic, and shallots. Cook, stirring occasionally until soft, 2 to 3 minutes. Add spelt and cook, stirring often until lightly toasted, 2 to 3 minutes. Add Madeira and cook until it is reduced to a thick syrup like blood, about 5 minutes. Add half of reserved meat broth and cook, stirring often until absorbed, about 8 minutes. Add the remaining broth, 1/4 cup at a time, and cook until it is absorbed before adding the next amount. Add the reduced beet juice and cook, stirring often until liquid is creamy and spelt is tender, about 5 minutes. Remove from heat, stir in Parmesan and butter and season with salt and pepper. Abandon Rosato for 3 minutes. To serve, divide the risotto between 4 shallow serving bowls and top with a dollop of the reserved horseradish cream. Garnish the risotto with the reserved phenyl and beet cubes and serve warm with the hearts. Now I get to check and see if there's anything else besides my closing. Nope. Good. You've just listened to The Mourning Show. Now we're going to go cry in a corner. So, YouTube listeners, I look pretty tired, and you might think I'm going to be calling a night, but no, I have to get up in a few hours, and I'm going to be gone all day, so I have to instantly start editing this show right now. So, good night, listeners.